We are going.
All right, it's March 19, 2015, and I had the privilege of having a visit with my good friend Jimmy Bannigan 2 days after St. Patrick's Day. Where'd you spend St. Patrick's Day, Jimmy?
I spent it at home. But I got a St. Patrick's hat on.
You didn't go out partying?
No, not this year, no.
St. Patrick's Day is for amateurs anyway.
Right, yeah.
Now, you know, you have no idea that I was going to sit you down here and ask you a few questions.
No, I didn't.
I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm doing some historical interviews, and I've met with a lot of your friends and people, which you don't even know about. But my sister told me you were coming over here today. I said, well, that's a good thing. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity and ask you a few things. Is that all right?
That's okay.
Can I do that?
Depends what you're going to ask me.
When
Yes, you could do, you know, yeah.
When were you born?
I was born in St. Patrick's Creek, in the house on St. Patrick's Creek,
What year?
1931.
During the Depression.
Right.
Tough times,
Right in the middle of it, yeah.
What was your father's name?
Marshall Bannigan, George Marshall Bannigan.
And what did he do for a living?
Waterman. Oysters, yeah, right, yeah, one of the best, yeah. My grandfather was a waterman,
What was his name?
Palmer Bannigan.
Was he also over in the 7?
He was right across the creek from him,
He was.
yeah.
Now, did you have any brothers and sisters?
No.
So, I remember that John Quaid lived over there. Was that close to where your dad, where you were raised, that house, or was that?
No, we were probably like 5 or 6 miles away, yeah.
Now, what was your mom's maiden name?
Morris, Hilda Morris.
Oh, she was a Morris.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a school teacher.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, school teacher married a waterman
Where did she teach school?
in the 7th District.
At
River Springs.
At River Springs?
Right, yeah. And she had 4 sisters, and they were all teachers
Oh, they were.
in the 7th District.
That's something else.
Yeah.
Now, River Springs School, when you go back and you go by Dr. Palmer's old house,
Right.
is it down that road?
Right,
that
yeah,
was-
yeah.
And what grades was River Springs?
1 to 7.
Did you go there?
1 year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Like in 7th grade? Or?
No, 1st grade, my mother sent me there, and then my father sent me there, wasn't there, because she was a teacher there.
Oh, right.
And then she sent me to the nuns.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't want to go because the county had 7th grade, and the Holy Angels had 8th grade. You had to go before you went to college. I went to senior, and they.
So you went to River Springs for your 1st grade,
Just the 1st grade was all. Yeah.
and then after that you went
The
to
Holy Angels.
until the 8th grade,
Right.
and then you went to St. Mary's Academy?
Right, for 4 years.
It was co-ed back then, wasn't it?
Right, yeah.
Now, were you in my mother's class, or?
Sonny and I were in the same class.
Oh, Sonny, Uncle
yeah,
Sonny.
Right, yeah.
He was a character. Like, I remember him, he was on the water a lot. Would you consider him a waterman or like a part-time waterman?
His father was a waterman. Yeah,
Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie, yeah. And
Tell me about my grandfather, Reggie. I don't know much about him. Tell me about him.
he did right at Colton's Point, looking facing the island over there. And he would do oysters, and he used to soft crab a lot because there was a lot of grass and all. He used to push nets, and all summer he would catch soft crabs and sell them. And he had about 10 rowboats.
Right.
Then you didn't have motors then, he rented those for people to go fishing from the west. And that's really what he did. And then in the wintertime,
So he started that, and Sugar just took it over.
Yeah, well, Sugar took care of most of the rowboats, really, because she was there most of the time, and she'd get the boat done, and they would
People would pay her,
pay her, yeah.
and they put their motor in the back of that car.
Right, yeah,
But
A
a
lot
lot
of
of
them
people
just
didn't
rode
even
it.
have motors.
That's what I say, they didn't, they could row out a little while with the bars there, and it was good fishing. Rockfish, perch, and
So, was your father friends with Reggie at all, do you know, or?
most all the watermen were friends with each other, yeah.
Yeah. There were a lot of watermen back in the
Everything was
40s.
St. Patrick's Creek had about 100 families in there, and I would say about 80 of them were watermen. There was a couple little farms in there too, but most of them all were watermen. And today, there's 2 boats go in and out of there for watermen.
Right, that's it.
Yeah, all the ones were going.
Tucker and Robert T.
Yeah, and all the oyster houses are gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you put together a book of different oyster houses, or you helped put together a book.
Yeah.
Tell me about that project you did.
Well, the college down St. Mary's, they had a book that they made. They started with the base on the base, and it's sort of about how that's built up. And,
Yeah.
And then it went to the farmers, and then it came to the watermen. When it came to the watermen, some of the teachers and some of the students, we went around from house to house, because a lot of the watermen didn't trust anybody, because they drudged sometimes, which you wasn't supposed to. But we went from to talk to them.
Yeah.
They wouldn't talk to them, but when I was in there with them, they would, let a little of it out. And after we got through talking for a little longer, they would tell them, how it was to drudge. You're tongued, but you got a drudge and pull behind it, you got twice as many oysters and stuff like that.
Did they do an oral history like we're doing?
Yeah, something. I got the one that I wish I had a book I could give it to you.
Yeah. No, I've seen your book.
Yeah.
I've taken, because you did a good essay on the Harvard View
Yeah.
about how that was built by like Mr. O'Brien, or something back in the early 1900s. And I still have an excerpt of your work that you did down there.
Yeah.
It was interesting. But certainly that's all changed.
Yeah, and I've been another one with the college, but that was on looking for Indian head stuff, and up in Chappico. I went with the teachers and schools there, and after that I went with over at Solomon's. That's where I did most
Oh,
of
the
it.
Cal Marine Museum.
Right, yeah, we did about 3 books over there, and they were about the oyster boats and water boats, and then we got around another trip we went on, and we went to all the oyster houses. There used to be 90 in the state, and now, like I said, I think it's 4 of those.
Is that a shucking
Not the
house?
state, in the county.
Oh, the county. Is that a shucking house? or-
Shucking house.
Shucking house.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the Harvard View used to be a shucking
right,
house.
yeah.
Um,
They used to be Coles Point. It was the gas, 2 gas brothers, each one had one, Holden Mattingly, and there was quite a few there. But
Just explain how that process would work. In other words, you get your catch, and the watermen would just bring it right to the shucking house, and then they would get paid, and then the shucking houses would wholesale it, or how did that work?
well, it worked sort of like in 2 ways. The watermen went out, and they had the buy boats over to come from Cambridge, all over.
Right.
And they were, there was a lot of watermen, say that, in the different oyster bars, where the oysters were.
Right.
And then the oyster had to be 3 inches or better. And then most of them went to the buy boats. But you had people like Roy, like I just told you, the Bannigan's and all those, the boats would take them up to them.
I see.
But most of the time, if they sold to the ones that didn't only buy boats, they got more money, maybe a quarter, 50 cents, something like
Then
that.
on the shore.
Than on the shore. So,
But depending on the shucking house, you could have anywhere from like, what, 2 shuckers to 20 shuckers, depending upon
yeah,
how big it was?
yeah, I think Tucker Brown last one, he was one of the last ones, he had about 4. And all the Bannigan probably had about 20. And today, some of them, I've seen in Virginia, they might have 70 or 80 of them.
Over in the northern
Yeah,
half.
yeah. So there's many of those, a couple left.
Now, you collected a lot of oyster memorabilia over the years, didn't you?
Yeah,
Why did you do that?
I don't know. No, I just really love the river and nautical things.
Yeah.
And one time I sort of, I had heard a little bit, but you know, people were collecting oyster cans, and I just got picked up with Herman Gass as my wife's father,
Right.
and there was Captain Sam and all those guys, and I picked those and I got interested into them, and I went on the Eastern Shore, and the museum over there had hundreds of them, and I met some friends over there, and they were selling for about, $5 to, and some of them would give them to you because it was still shucking a lot of oysters,
Right.
and then, but you could buy them, I guess over a year or two before I'd go over $100. And now, you can't hardly find them, but you can go on and keep them on the eBay, and they on there every day.
Yeah.
And
How much for a good one? What are they?
I've seen them go as high as $10,000.
Oh,
If it's only 1 or 2, and it's you don't see many like that, but I've seen a few.
I remember being in your basement one time, and noticing behind your bar downstairs, But they had to build a whole building for your collection, didn't they, down at the museum?
Yeah, they're still working on that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, are they?
it was kind of commissions keep changing, and they cutting about money back, but I had doubles and stuff, and I've done it to the museum.
I knew that. I knew that you had done it.
They got a couple of displays down there outside, they got 4 or 5 buildings down there, the main building's got some of them. As you go in, and they got a little store.
But, so, growing up in the 30s, in the 7th District during the Depression, why don't you describe what it was like as far as, the roads, the infrastructure, what was it like compared to today?
In what, the 30s?
Yeah, 30s and 40s. Well, you were born in 31.
I was born in 31.
Let's see, when you're like 8 or 9 years old, in your late 30s, what do you...
And I had to go down a called Brown Road. There was about 7 or 8 cars in there, and they just had it like a dirt road. And to go in your house, each one was the same. Well, a lot of them had oyster shells,
As the driveway.
Right, yeah. And so.
Was the roads paved coming in?
No.
Huh? It was
Very few roads. The main road was paved.
It was.
That was all. And the school bus come down the road, you didn't, there was a little store right up Joe Bailey's, and you had to walk out of that road and then go to that.
Where was Joe Bailey's store?
Right on the corner, it's tore down now.
What's there right now?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
And then Coco's Marina, what the place where Mr. Wrigley was, that was a little closer. He
Yeah.
didn't have created, a few things.
What was the store right across as you come down on the right, coming in the 7th District, right past Coco's? That was a grocery store there.
That was Frank Lawrence's store.
Frank Lawrence's store, yeah.
That was Frank Lawrence's Palmer's. Palmer's post office was there. Bear Road there. That was a nice restaurant.
Oh, they had a restaurant and Lawrence's store there?
You could get sandwiches and stuff.
Oh, okay. I never realized that.
there was another one behind it, that's too far back, I don't know too much about that. They had like seafood and stuff. But Lawrence had a bar room at the post office, and you get good meats. And your grandmother used to shop there. Your mother, yeah. They used to walk up the road.
All the way
and they not clerked there for a while. And when they got the food, then I take the groceries and take them down to the Coles Point back to there. And everybody down there used them. And then they had a store down there for you know, where it's there now. You know, it's at the Bearville now, I think.
You mean Frank Gass's?
Yeah.
Do you, I know the post office is at Frank Gass's now. Do you remember when the post office moved down there?
When they left Palmer's, but I don't know.
So you call Frank Lawrence's Palmer's?
Well, that's what the post office was.
Oh, that was, the address was Palmer?
Yeah, Palmer's.
Palmer, Maryland?
Yeah.
Named after?
And it was on St. Patrick's Creek. That where, you know, that's where you, anything on St. Patrick's used to use Palmer's post office.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know where Katie's
Yes.
Marine's at? Okay, there was a store there, and the post office was down there.
At the Cathers Marina?
No, before Katie's Marina.
Oh, before that.
Yeah, that was still down after Katie's Marina went up there.
What was Cathers Marina before that? Before the Cather brothers came down?
Wasn't anything. They had that store on it down there.
Oh, that was the only thing there?
Yeah.
So they turned it into a marina.
Right, yeah.
And how about before Bobby Copel or Carl Lynn bought their place? What was that before?
That was Mr. Rayleigh Collins. And he had a little store there and a farm. Well, he had 18 acres. And he farmed corn and a couple of horses and pigs and stuff like that. Nothing too big.
Was it Bobby's father and Carl's father that bought that, or was it Bobby and Carl?
Bobby and Carl bought it. Yeah.
And they came from?
Washington. Yeah.
Well, they built quite a marina.
Yeah. Carl was a carpenter, and Bobby did the, paperwork.
Carl, he used to love building boats.
He could be, yeah.
He could build anything.
Very good boats, yeah.
What do you remember during World War II? What was going on around here then? Because you were younger.
Yeah.
You were too young to be drafted.
No, I got the next war.
You got the Korean War.
Yeah.
What do you remember about World War II, those times?
They had to have, to get food and gas, they have stamps.
You mean like your parents, in order to get food and gas, they had to have stamps?
They had a stamp, and he was a waterman, he had to have stamps for that, and this and that.
So everybody was sort of rationing everything.
Everything was rationed, yeah. But most of those, all those on that creek and all, they had, we were watermen.
Yeah, they didn't have to worry about it.
He had a crab boat, and he had a oyster boat, and he was big enough where he'd have another person with him,
Right.
He wouldn't talk by himself, he'd have somebody to cull the oyster, like a black man or something like that, where you could work with him. And then, but almost every family was usually had 2 or 3 acres of land, and then everyone had a garden. They had everything. They had potatoes and then tomatoes and you name it. And they had it like seasons, like sweet potatoes went forward and dug that, and they had kale a little later on in that, and then most everyone had 2 or 3 pigs. They bought little pigs like that, and they had that, and they raised them up. How many times you had to go out and do that and then clean that out? It felt like it was a farmer and a waterman, and then they had chickens. They had everything, They didn't have all any money. What little money they had, yeah. They made their own wine, and some wasn't a hush, but some of them made a little whiskey.
So, Jimmy, you did go to the Korean War. Do you remember how old you were when you went there?
fit when I wouldn't go to college. I said, in the river, when the water, when we're making pretty good weather, money, but,
So you did crabs and oysters?
yeah, I did crabbing and oysters and soft crabbing. Well, when I was growing up, I was doing that. If I wanted any money, I went soft crabbing and took it and make $2 or $3, because you could buy a whole dozen soft crabs for about $1 or something. If it was, you didn't get paid much money.
No, I remember Uncle Sonny used to soft crab right in front of Sugar's.
That was one of the best places to work, yeah.
Yeah, all those grasses in there.
All high school I did that. I used to set oyster for traps to catch furs and stuff like that. And
But let me ask you this. The government pier down at the museum, because I remember that in the 60s, but when do you think that was put in? Do you recall when that was put in?
around World War II,
Oh, it was.
they put that there, and they had the Navy from Dalgren had boats and stuff, and they practiced shooting testing guns and different
At the island.
At the island, with Mr. Butterfield, they put that there. Mr. Butterfield took over the island and then put a big wharf on the island too. That's what it had the boats do, where they fly. So that was then.
There was like a rumor that maybe that was the reason one of the lighthouse burned down or something, because maybe one of those shells hit it. Do you believe that?
There's 2 or 3 stories to that. I'd rather not mention them.
Yeah.
That was one of them. So that was up, yeah. But it's a shame that they, it was somebody said it was lightning, and sometimes it was shells. Somebody might have said it or something. Over there camping or something like that, because people would go over there and
So I remember the old Butterfield house where the museum is.
yeah.
So you must remember, if it was done in World War II or whatever, when you were about 9 or 10, you must remember that there must have been another pier there that wasn't the government pier.
Yeah, it was just like a wharf, like Bo's got and something like that. Yeah.
And so would the government come in and tell Mr. Butterfield, we're going to build a pier and we're going to hire you to watch the island?
I'm sure they just took it, yeah, in World War II, yeah.
Yeah, they just took it.
And right next to that, the house, I forget who's got that now, but they had a little building there on a pier they had there, and then we used to go down and I had to watch for planes. My mother and I used to go with it, and every plane, you didn't see many planes flying over, but if you got it, you got on the phone and call up and said, this plane's coming over, and if we could take turns, we did that during the day.
Right on the point?
At Coles Point, yeah, right next to the little pier there.
There was a little house.
Yeah.
Somebody's pier.
Yeah.
So when you got back from Korea, did you actually go to Korea?
No,
Huh?
I went later, but no, I was in the Coast Guard.
Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Norfolk and I started in California and got on a ship at Norfolk.
That was a good experience for you.
It really was. I was in the North Atlantic and on about 12 months, and then I finally got to a buoy tender, and that was at Norfolk. And I used to take care of all the buoy comes from here to Washington, from there to Washington, and that was good duty. That North Atlantic wasn't too good at times.
That was chilling. So when you got back from Korea, when do you recall, like when you were young, that you got, you were involved with politics?
I actually started when going to high school, because the Bannigan and the Baileys and all them were into it.
Yeah.
And
Captain Sam.
Captain Sam.
So that was in the 40s. You were a teenager.
Yeah. When we got 18, I think it could be, didn't you? I'm not sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
What do you recall one of your first assignments was in politics? What do you recall as one of the earliest elections that you can remember?
Penny Lane, is that, yeah, he was a governor.
Oh, okay.
I met him down in college, they had something down there, and,
At St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, that's the first governor I met, yeah. That's when they put the first taxes, wasn't it, Penny, was it Penny, that was his name, they called it. It was 1 penny, I think.
You got me on that,
A
Jimmy.
tax, yeah, I think that's when tax started,
Okay.
but I'm not sure.
That would be appropriate for a name like that.
Yeah. So,
What was your most memorable election?
well, actually, it's just that.
Here,
No.
tell me about this one. Somebody put this on my desk. You remember this? This must have been in the 60s. You recognize any of those guys?
Coors, Mahoney, and Dorsey.
And?
Samuel Bailey Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew all those. I didn't know them very well, but I knew them.
What was, Bo? Was that Bo right there? Or that's his father?
Sam was Noble County Commissioner.
But his father, what did his father run for? Was that him or was that Bo? Or is that were they both Bo?
I don't remember coming. His hand was like one, but I don't think I don't know anything about it.
Did Bo ever run for county commissioner?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Did he win?
No.
Oh, he lost.
Yeah. Lost by about 100 votes.
I didn't know that.
Sonny, what's his name? He beat it, but I can't remember who beat it. They only had three running then, 3 commissioners.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know what I want to ask you. So, I don't know if you know this, but now Byron Guy, he was a county commissioner, wasn't he?
He could, I'm not sure him either. He was something, but I don't know if he was
Yeah.
commissioner or not.
So you knew his wife, May,
Yeah,
right? Dorothy Marie's mother.
right, yeah.
Did you know her?
Yeah. She's related to you, right?
Yeah, but how? Do you know? Do you know what relationship Sugar is with May?
What sisters were they?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because I just saw where one of the twins passed.
That's true, yeah. 70 years old.
Yeah. And,
She's a pretty girl,
yeah. But then it said she was married to a Wood.
yeah.
But then they were talking about May, and it had a little thing about her maiden name is Madigan. But I didn't think she was a Madigan. Byron, that would have been Byron's wife. But,
Yeah.
you know, we're sort of going all over the place, so I
Yeah.
apologize for that. But, if anyone would know, you would know. So I'll have to
I
ask
don't know about that one, no.
I'll have to ask Dorothy Marie about that.
Now, she could tell you, yeah,
Yeah.
that's why that's close to my mother, I don't know.
Yeah, well, May is Dorothy Marie's mother.
Right, yeah.
And then she'll tell me what, you know, Ella's relation
Yeah,
is.
she would know more, her and yeah. She would-
Paul.
You're right, exactly, yeah.
Tell me about his father. Did he start that Chucky house there?
Yeah, Golden Thompson,
Oh, Gold, okay.
yeah.
See, you don't know anything about this, do you? So Reggie, you remember Reggie?
Yeah.
Okay, so Reggie's mother, did you ever know her?
No,
Mrs. Blackstone.
I didn't know. I might have known her, I mean, seen her, but I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Do you always remember Reggie being down on the point?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Did you know that his mother had a total of 10 children?
Is she the one that would be 110?
Little Mama, they call her.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. But Reggie's mother, the first 5 children she had were Owens's. And then her husband died and she married Reggie's father, my great-grandfather. Then she had 5 Blackstons. And Virginia told me that, you know. And Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that, but there was quite a few, a couple like down there that, I think one lady lived to be, and she was raised to you,
Yeah, that was,
over 100.
and her son was Albert.
Albert, yeah,
Albert.
yeah, he was something, yeah.
Yeah, they call her Little Mama.
Yeah.
But do you remember Albert?
Yeah, I do. Everybody knows him, remember him. Yeah.
Well, he was slow. wasn't
A
he?
little bit.
Yeah. Did he work on the water? Or?
Yeah, he worked, yeah, a little bit of everything. Yeah. I don't think he ever got married or anything.
No. But there was another question I had. Oh, did you know any of Reggie's brothers?
Archie, yeah.
What about Dewey? Who was Dewey?
Dewey was there, Archie and Dewey lived in the same, at the St. Patrick's Creek, right at the mouth of it.
Okay, so that's where they lived.
And they did the same thing, yeah.
Was it
They
down
went
by
to
Port
war.
Sunlight on St. Patrick's, or was it up in the, more in the creek?
It was up in the creek, it was up in the creek on the, where Paul Indian lived,
Oh, okay.
on that side of the,
Yeah, because I never knew that. I never knew that.
yeah.
Did you know any of the other brothers' names besides Archie,
Just those
Reggie,
two, no.
Dewey?
No.
Were they your age, or?
No.
They would have been
were
older.
Yeah.
And they were all watermen.
Older, yeah.
So, where's your latest trip been? Someone showed me a picture of you somewhere. I don't know where the heck you were. Where were you, in Tibet? Or something? You were in some foreign country, weren't you? Where's the last big trip you went? You remember?
Yeah,
Africa.
Africa.
Oh, you were in Africa.
I've said that a million times, and then all of a sudden, yeah, Africa.
Yeah, and so, were you in Timbuktu? Is that what it was, or you remember?
Yes, where all the animals were at,
Oh, you went to a safari type of
safari,
place.
yeah.
How was that?
It was the best one trip I've ever been on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It was for about 3 weeks. And it was,
That's
people were nice.
Did you go to South Africa?
Yeah.
Did you go to Cape Town, or?
No, we didn't go that far
Oh,
down.
okay. I got you. So you still have your boat?
Yeah.
You getting it ready?
Not now.
What kind of Mako you got? Are you still having your
Yeah,
Mako?
20-foot Mako.
Huh?
Yeah.
You used to take that around a lot of places, didn't
Yeah, I went to DC,
you? You went to DC and that?
yeah, several times, yeah.
How about, didn't you go to Salisbury in there one time?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. We used to get to, like, we 4 of us had the same type of boat, and we had four people in each boat.
Yeah.
And we went to Washington, and it usually would take you about 3.5 hours, and it took us a day.
Right.
Because we would go in this place and that place, and
Right.
George Watson's place, and we were at every place. Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
That's, I'm gonna make that Salisbury trip one day.
Yeah.
I've made the Washington trip, but
Yeah.
not in a 20-foot Mako though. I haven't done that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You gotta know what you're doing to make that.
That's not bad.
So, all right, Jimmy, we'll get into round 2 later.
Yeah.
We're gone.